just as a quick summary, why this is super important is because, again, we don't need to focus on trying to learn every single aspect, every single inch of the neck just to learn it. Yes, we want to do that. But when it comes to improvisation and playing music, that's really not what people are doing. And it's not what anyone has ever done for the most part. So the reason I'm focusing on this is because this version of the Pentatonic Box 1 covers a big chunk of the guitar neck. And when we connect it later to what I'm going to call the extended BB box, that's going to essentially round out the entire neck. So we're going to know the entire guitar neck, but we're going to know it in a way that is going to help us instantly learn and play the blues and rock language that we all really enjoy. Hey everyone. So today I want to talk to you a little bit about learning the different pentatonic shapes and using them in your improvisation. And I feel like this lesson is eventually going to become my entire philosophy for teaching pentatonic boxes, soloing, and all of that stuff. The major realization that I've been having over the last couple of months really is that you don't really need to learn all of the pentatonic box shapes. I mean, you need to learn them all. You need to have facility with all of them to navigate the fretboard. But the majority of your soloing is not going to come from being able to improvise really interesting stuff in every box. And the reason I've come to this conclusion is because I've been analyzing a lot of blues players in depth. People like Josh Schmidt, people like Kirk Fletcher, going back to people like Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King, so on and so forth. When you analyze all of these great musicians, you'll notice that a lot of them, well, none of them actually spend the majority of their soloing time navigating all the pentatonic boxes. They all master one or two. The modern guys like Josh Smith have mastered them all, but even still, the majority of their soloing comes from just a few different areas. It's mainly around box 1, obviously, but I'll explain why in a second. And it's also largely around the BB box shape, which I'm not even going to call a pentatonic box. I'll show you it in a second. So in terms of box 1, we just have that, we're going to be in the key of A. We have this normal pattern that we all know and we've all been playing for years. That's the main box that people start their soloing around. And in addition to that main box, we can add in a few different areas to get some other sounds. So the first area we're going to add is this part of box 2. The part of box 2 that we're going to add is just these notes. So now we have and that's a really useful area to add because it fits really well with the first pentatonic box. Also, something that's really useful is that this box, the note, is the fourth for the blues. So you're playing in box 1 for all of your blues stuff. And jumping up right to that note is going to bring us right into a box, into a 4-chord sound, or and a lot of blues guys, even the sophisticated guys, the really talented ones, they just play a pentatonic lick and then just end here, because that's the tonic for the 4-chord. And so that's a really important reason why we have this box. So moving forward, we have, again, box 1 plus the blue notes, and we have this part of box 2. Now, since we're already learning box 2, I recommend that you also learn these notes. Because you're going to want to know how to play the full box 2 for a few specific licks. But notice what I said there. We need to know this for a few specific licks. But we need to know this for a large part of our vocabulary. You see what I'm saying here? We have to master box 1. We have to master this part of box 2. And we have to know the other part of box 2. Just know it. We're not going to spend years soloing with these notes. It's just not a thing. Now, when we go backwards, a big part of the box behind box 1 is just these notes to end certain licks. So things like this. Really just these low notes. Because although, again, we will learn this box back here in full, there's not a lot of great, you see, I'm trying not to speak in absolutes because you really shouldn't do that when you're teaching, but there aren't a ton of licks that you play like this. Like, there aren't a lot of things here that are easy to grab, which is why we mostly gravitate towards here. And then when we want to add that box, we usually, even if we start in this box, we usually move forward because it's easier to play licks here. So box 1, now we have 2 strings back here, 3 strings up here, and then box 1. So the full pattern will be something like this. Though that area from here to here in a diagonal fashion, that is what we really need to master. That whole section is where a lot of our blues licks are really, really going to come from in terms of box 1 and the related notes. You'll notice this whole time I've been in minor pentatonic, but even when we're talking about this one area, adding in the major pentatonic is useful, and we do it in a few different ways. The first way is just to take this box and to shift it back here. Right? That becomes our pentatonic box, our major pentatonic box. And I'm sure you've all worked on that at some point. Box 1 of the major pentatonic scale looks like this. So we should be able to see the minor pentatonic and the major pentatonic. And with the major pentatonic, we're adding these 2 notes, or this 1 note. And that's really all. So for the major pentatonic in this area, I would say it's this pattern. And also so that's all we have to really quote unquote master for our minor and major pentatonic in that one box area. And if you just mastered that, you could have a whole career of licks and soloing and improvisation with just that alone, those 2 major and minors mixed. Now, another cool shape in this first area is starting with the minor pentatonic and adding in just a few of the major notes. And there's a specific way you should work on doing this. So we're in minor pentatonic. I like to add in the 3rd right here. So you all seen that before. You usually bend it, but you can slide there too. That gives us the major sound. And also, when you're down here, if you slide over here, and on the A string and the D string, you play these 2 notes, these 2 strings and these 2 notes, we have a lot of the major sound. It's easier than playing it this way. Because of the stretch there. We're in our minor pentatonic, we're doing a little thing. If you want to go to major pentatonic, we just move that up. And we're right there. just as a quick summary, why this is super important is because, again, we don't need to focus on trying to learn every single aspect, every single inch of the neck just to learn it. Yes, we want to do that. But when it comes to improvisation and playing music, that's really not what people are doing. And it's not what anyone has ever done for the most part. So the reason I'm focusing on this is because this version of the Pentatonic Box 1 covers a big chunk of the guitar neck. And when we connect it later to what I'm going to call the extended BB box, that's going to essentially round out the entire neck. So we're going to know the entire guitar neck, but we're going to know it in a way that is going to help us instantly learn and play the blues and rock language that we all really enjoy. So again, later lesson extended BB box, but just to give you a preview of how that's going to work, again, we're in the key of A, all right? We're playing box 1 of our pentatonic, and now my extended version has even more notes. So the regular box starts on fret 5, ends on fret 8. I've added all the way to fret 10 with these notes. So now we have frets 5 through 10 and our scope of the neck. And then I extended backwards 2 frets down here. To 3. So now our box 1 is really fret 3 all the way to fret 10. This giant scope of the neck is now covered, and we're focusing on the licks and the areas that are going to be useful for our playing. And the question is, where does the BB box actually start in the key of A? Well, it starts on fret 10. It starts right here. So my extended box 1 ends on fret 10 in the key of A. The BB box starts on fret 10. So it picks up right where that leaves off, and we have those licks instantly. Now, the extended box that I'm going to teach you eventually moves even further forward. And we get some of those notes and some of these notes. My BB box, I shouldn't be calling it the BB box because that's not what it is, but again, the licks that we associate with that region of the guitar, we think about the BB box, all of the BB King stuff. So my version of that starts on fret 10, ends on fret 15. So box 1, we have fret 3, fret 10. BB box, we have fret 10, fret 15. Now, we also know that fret 15 down the octave is fret 3, right? This note is the same as this note, up the octave. So we have 2 shapes, and with those 2 shapes, we have all of the important blues stuff. And it actually covers the full neck. But instead of covering areas of the neck where we play things that we would never play, for example, when have you ever heard someone solo right here? Or right here? We don't really use that as much. So again, we learn it eventually, but we're learning it when we need it to fill out the rest of the neck. So I hope that's helpful. I really want to start helping people reframe their idea of what it means to learn how to play the guitar and to quote unquote master soloing, master the guitar. Again, I'll say it one final time. It's not about being able to say, I can close my eyes and see every note in every position and I can jump to it at any time and I can solo right here if I need to, and I can solo right here in this weird spot. I can solo every inch of the neck everywhere. That's great. We do want to work towards that in the future, but that's a goal that we set between now and the day we die. We work towards it, but while we're on our journey getting there, we need to be able to play music right away. And so we learn other things that are going to help us play music. And, you know, if one day we get to the point where we've mastered every single aspect of these areas that are more important, Yes, we try to learn all of those small idiosyncratic things as well, but we need to start with the things that are going to give us the most bang for our buck. And my version of that is what I'm going to call extended box 1 and the extended BB box. Learn the two of them, combine them. We'll have all of the blues, we'll have all of rock, we'll have mixing major and minor pentatonic, and we'll keep working on that as we move forward.